Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for the final episode of Kamen Rider Saber, the special Revice preview episode, 47.5, whatever you want to call it. Last week was more like the official series finale of the main series as we know it. This was a bit of a weird episode that functioned both as sort of an epilogue as well as a Kamen Rider Revice tease. And I was worried about it because it basically bookended nicely last week, and I'm not a fan, if you guys know me, I'm not a fan of all the constant messy crossovers Toku does. It pushes all the wrong buttons for me. So I was worried about it, but I thought I'd keep an open mind. And you guys, you know what? I hated it. I didn't hate it, but I hated it. I hated a lot of it. I just felt this was wholly unnecessary for a lot of reasons. But let's start on the positive note. What did I like? I liked the Saber epilogue parts. I thought the Saber epilogue parts were solid, if not unnecessary. You know, we start out with everyone kind of in a vacation setting in the base talking about what they're going to do next, except for Ren's, who's off training shirtless. I'm good. I'm like, good. Stay out of most of the episode. And they're kind of talking about what they're going to do next. And then they address one of the only dangling threads, which was Rintaro's feelings for Mei. And just as he's about to confess something to her, the Lannister twins come in, and he wants to challenge Rintaro to a duel to sort of figure out who's going to be the new sort of Logos, which is something they address later. So all that stuff was fine. I wasn't overly invested in it, but I appreciated that they wanted to address the Rintaro and Mei stuff. And then the very last set of scenes, which was all Saber epilogue stuff, I liked. Again, mainly unnecessary. Last week ended off fine. I had my problems with Toma coming back and stuff, but for the most part it ended on a solid and high note, and it sets up good for the future V cinemas, you know, that they've already announced. So I was fine with it. You know, it's kind of nice to know some details about where people are going to be and what's happening, but I didn't necessarily need it. But I'll just say I like the last scenes. You know, they're all at the Logos base, again, talking about where they're going next. Ren's going to go on a journey. Buster's going to keep being a dad. Slash is going to keep being a swordsman. Kento and Rintaro are going to figure out what's next. Rintaro and Mei are exploring something, and Saber gives back his blade, and he's going to go back to being a novelist, and he's like, oh, are you sure you want to go? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. The V-Cinemas were just announced. So, just kind of a nice epilogue-y scene for all of them, and then we end on a nice scene that I also liked of Toma writing about, you know, where all the heroes are going next, and Kento's figuring stuff out, and Kento and Rintaro and Mei all come in, and these kids come into the store and are reading books, and they talk about, you know, what stories mean to people and what mean to kids, and it was a nice scene because it kind of looped all the way back to the pilot, to some of the first scenes in the bookstore with kids and talking about what stories mean to people and kids, and it was just kind of a nice full circle moment, and it was very much in keeping with what I think the core heart and theme of the show were. So very nice scenes, but I feel like all the scenes of them at the base and them at the end could have just been a couple extra minutes at the end of the last episode, you know, where they have an epilogue-y scene where the credits roll. I think that's what they should have done. Again, I liked those scenes. They were nice because I liked the end of Saber. I thought it was solid. Nice epilogue stuff, but that was really the only stuff I liked. We know they're coming back for V Cinemas. Fortunately, I think because of the way it ended, it does leave it a little bit more open for V Cinemas. Like, Princess Shayla even says, like, oh, there's still some ride books out there. So it's not one of those endings that I'm worried about them digging up, so I might check out the specials. Like, I didn't check out the Build ones and a lot of the Gaim ones because I thought the ending was good. I didn't need them to dig it back up after that. So I think that'll be good. And I don't know if I mentioned also, but they decided that the sort of Logos, when they're at that final meeting where everyone's going to go, is going to be based on a council instead of just one person. So we allow you on this council. We not grant you the rank of master. But the stuff I didn't like was basically the Revice stuff. And the only Saber-related stuff I didn't like was this dumb side plot with these characters I didn't care about. Like, there were these characters that had, like, this bond of friendship, and they were worried about balancing that with their future dreams. And I think it was just kind of meant to tie back to Kento and Toma and Luna and those themes, which is fine. But I got those themes just fine from Kento and Toma talking about their futures. And I just did not care about these filler characters. They're a waste of life, and they should give up. That's what I wanted to say. But welcome to sensitivity training for real. I just didn't care about them. But they tied to the Revice episode theme too, which was one of them got like the Revice stamp demon awakened, and that created the monster of the week. And when Toma and Saber are, that's the same guy. When Toma and Saber are two different people. Huge plot twist in episode 47.5. No, when Kento and Toma are fighting him, Vice shows up first, and then Revi, and they're fighting the monster. And this is kind of intended to be a preview. And This annoyed me for so many reasons, and I don't want to be such a Debbie Downer about it, especially since my name's not Debbie. But again, I don't like these constant little crossovers. I felt this was wholly unnecessary. I don't know why you need a preview episode for a show that airs next week. I feel like the trailers they air at the end and possibly even during commercials is plenty. Not to mention Revice got his little preview moment in the recent Tyson movie. And then you also have the problem of, unless I misunderstood it again, because I was confused by the press conference, but people clarified it and I thought I understood, the Revice is supposed to take place in a world where Rider's a fictional show, and that's why his other forms are based off of other writers, because the guy that makes the system is a huge Rider fan. As sick as I am of anniversary stuff and old suits based off of old writers and stuff, I thought that was a cool idea. I liked that it presented a cool idea for an anniversary aesthetic without having constant cameos. So Revice is supposed to be in a world where writers are fiction. How is he meeting Saber? I guess that question was maybe asked in the movie too. I don't know. It's stuff like that that pisses me off, mainly because it brings back to things that annoyed me about Geo and Decade, where you set up this perfectly easy to understand for all ages multiverse and universe and rules, and then you don't care. And you bring questions into it that didn't need to be asked. Because I felt like I already knew what was going on and what was answered, and then all of a sudden you make me confused for no reason. And that type of stuff pisses me off. So I felt it was unnecessary. I feel like it confused me about Revice's place in the world. And if I'm going to be honest, I did not think Revice and Revi and Vice left that great of an impression for me. And I'm pretty stoked for the show. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I've been on kind of a Rider kick from catching up on Saber. I've been in a Rider mood. I like what I've seen from Revice. I like the preview stamp I got. I'm maybe getting more of the toys this year. I don't know, but I've been more excited. I've been pretty stoked for this show. And I remember I thought at the very least this might piss me off, but at least I'll get to see a good look at these guys. And I didn't like a lot of what I saw, if I'm being honest. I like the suits. I like the concept. I like the Decade suits when they showed them off. But I didn't get the greatest first impression from the characters. I mean, Revi Vice seems very much like a Momotaros type character, which is fine. I love me some Momotaros. And he had a couple moments that amused me. And, that could go either way. There's been characters like that start off where they could go either way, where I really like them or really hate them, and I can kind of tell by their first appearance that I'm not sure where it's going to fall yet. But for the most part, I found him to be annoying. I saw potential for me to like him, but I found him annoying, and they had these fart jokes. I know it's a show for kids, but it just... For me, the fact that one of the first things I see about the new Rider is the characters from Saber smelling his farts is just not a good impression. And then Revi appears to be another twerpy character. Can you be cool? Just once. Just once be cool. Like, I don't even need a badass protagonist. I just want a normal person that's not a twerp. I'll give him a chance, but I just feel like they're both that type of character I don't like. Their dynamic seems like it could be fun, but I felt that they didn't get off on the right foot for me, and I thought that was very unfortunate. I'm still looking forward to seeing Revice, and I still do have excitement, but I think the combined factors of this pushing so many of the buttons of what I don't like about Toku, and then them leaving a bad impression left a sour taste in my mouth. But overall, I wasn't a fan of this episode. I liked the Saber elements of Epilogue, even though they were unnecessary, but everything else I didn't care for, and I just, again, found to be unnecessary. I would give this episode a 2. I don't think we needed it. I wish that we could have... I would have rather this just have been more of Saber, and, Saber did have a lot of characters that fell by the wayside, and take this episode and add it into the series and have more time for other stuff. Or I would have rather this been, instead of one 22-minute episode that was kind of mixed, split it down the middle and have the first half be a Saber epilogue and the second half be a Revice episode 0. I would have rather that, but I don't know. And it's unfortunate because, again, Saber ended good for me last week, and I ended on a high note, and I hate that this leaves a last kind of more sour taste in my mouth for the last episode. But what did you guys think of this episode? Did you think it was necessary to have this epilogue for Saber? Did you like what you saw of Revice so far? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.